Life is temporary. Be present for it. Buddhist wisdom. There is a phrase you keep running into, no matter where you look, be present. You've probably heard it more times than you can count. It shows up everywhere. On social media quotes, in self-help books, from people who always seem to have the right words at the right moment. Just be present. As if that explains anything, but I want to ask you something honestly, with no judgment. If your life right now is stressful, if you're lying awake at 2 in the morning thinking about bills, or your health, or something you said that you can't take back, what does be present actually mean? When someone tells you to just be here, just be in this moment, where exactly is here? And why would you want to stay in a moment that hurts? For a long time, I think people have been given beautiful answers that don't actually help. So, let's start over. Let's go back to the source. Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha said something about living in the present. And I think most of us have misunderstood what he meant. There is a teaching called the Bhattacharya Sutta. In it, the Buddha spoke directly about the relationship between past, present, and future. He said, "Don't run back to the past. Don't long for the future. What's past is left behind. The future has not yet come. And whatever is arising in the present, see it clearly." In every case, when most people hear the first part of this verse, they take it to mean, don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Stay focused on now. But the Buddha was pointing to something far more specific. Running back to the past is what happens when the mind keeps returning to things that are already over and gets stuck there. You know the feeling. A conversation you wish you'd handled differently. A decision that still stings. The mind replays it, turns it over, keeps pulling you back into a room whose door closed a long time ago. It is dwelling, going over the same thoughts again and again, as though thinking about it one more time will somehow undo it. Longing for the future works the same way in the other direction. The mind travels forward into something that hasn't arrived yet, and begins to live there instead. When I save enough money, I'll finally relax. When I find the right person, I'll feel whole. You hand your peace to a version of tomorrow that exists only in your imagination. Both movements pull you away from the same place. One drags you backward, the other pushes you forward. And while the mind is busy somewhere else, the only moment that actually exists passes through your hands without you ever touching it. And then there is the third line, the one that often gets missed. Whatever is arising in the present, see it clearly. The Buddha was not simply saying, be here. He was saying, when you are here, actually look. See what is happening, clearly, honestly, without turning away. Most of the time, we are so caught up in where we've been or where we're going that we never truly see where we are. The Buddha was never asking anyone to stop remembering or to abandon planning. He was asking you to notice how much of your life is spent somewhere other than where you actually are and what it costs you every time your attention leaves. That cost is greater than most people realize, because while you're living in yesterday or tomorrow, something is happening right now, something so quiet, you've probably looked straight through it your entire life. In the Maranasati Sutta, the Buddha spoke to his monks about mindfulness of death. He said, mindfulness of death, when developed and pursued, is of great fruit and great benefit. And he asked them to reflect. Your life could end today. For most people, that sounds grim. Why would anyone want to sit around thinking about death? Because the Buddha was not teaching his monks to fear death. He was teaching them to stop wasting life. When you truly face the fact that this will end, something happens inside you. The blur lifts. The things you have been taking for granted become vivid. The people you have been overlooking become precious. The time you have been throwing away becomes real. Contemplating death is not about death. It is about waking up to the life that is happening right now while you still have it. The Buddha tested his monks on this. He asked them how they practiced this reflection. One monk said he reflected that he could live one more day. The Buddha told him that was still careless. The monk he praised was the one who said, "I reflect that my life could end in the space of a single breath, breathing out and not breathing back in." That is the level of clarity the Buddha was asking for. Not a loose idea that life is short. A direct, unflinching recognition, even the next breath is not guaranteed. In the Bhattacharya Sutta, the same teaching we began with, the Buddha put it this way: "Today's the day to keenly work. Who knows? Tomorrow may bring death. For there is no bargain to be struck with death and his mighty horde. There is no deal you can make, no putting it off until next year. The only time you have is the time you are inside right now." Most people already know this. If you stopped anyone on the street and asked, "Is life short?" they would say yes, everyone knows. But knowing and truly seeing are very different things. When you actually sit with the reality of your own death, something shifts. Not your knowledge, your perspective. The things you have been treating as enormous suddenly seem absurdly small. A slight from a colleague that you have been carrying for months. The need to be right in an argument that no one else even remembers. The weight of comparison, of status, of always needing to prove that your life is going well. Seen from the edge of ending, these things lose almost all of their weight. They don't disappear. They just stop feeling important. And at the same time, things you have been rushing past without noticing suddenly seem enormous. A quiet meal with someone who loves you. The sound of rain on a window when you have nowhere to be. The fact that your body still works, that your lungs still fill, that you woke up this morning and the world was still here. These are things you walk past every single day without feeling anything. But from the edge of ending, they become the most valuable things you have. That reversal is the gift of this practice. Mindfulness of death does not change your life. It changes what your life looks like to you. The things that weighed you down become lighter. The things that were invisible become vivid. And you begin to feel in a way that no amount of advice can give you what actually matters and what does not. Most people never experience this shift until something forces it on them. A diagnosis, a sudden loss, a close call. And then they say what almost everyone says: "I wish I had paid more attention." The Buddha was offering that same clarity before the crisis. That is what mindfulness of death is for. Not to fill you with fear, to clear your eyes while you still have time to use them. Once you have seen that, the question changes. You stop asking, "How do I stay in the present?" and start asking something more honest. I can see that none of this will last. So, what am I doing with the time I have? If impermanence is this clear, if anyone can see it the moment they slow down, then why do we keep forgetting? The Buddha had a word for this forgetting. He called it pamada. It is usually translated as heedlessness or carelessness, but that makes it sound like simple laziness. Pamada goes much deeper. Pamada is what happens when the mind stops guarding itself. You still function. You still work, eat, make plans, chase goals. From the outside, your life might look perfectly active, but somewhere inside, a kind of sleep has settled in. You have forgotten what actually matters. You know, if someone asked you that life is short, you would agree. And yet you live as though time is endless. You put things off. You let days blur together. You treat the people around you as though they'll always be there. You say, "I'll start tomorrow" so many times that tomorrow becomes a place you never arrive at. The Buddha described what feeds this state of forgetting. In the Sukumala Sutta, he recalled his own life before awakening and the three vanities that keep people asleep: the vanity of youth, the vanity of health, and the vanity of life. When you are young, you think time stretches out forever. When you are healthy, you forget that the body breaks. When you are alive, you assume tomorrow is guaranteed. And intoxicated by these three things, the Buddha said, people act carelessly in what they do, in what they say, in how they think. Pamata grows in that intoxication, and its most dangerous quality is how invisible it is. You do not notice the moment the mind stops paying attention. One day you simply realize, often too late, that you have been on autopilot for months or years. The mind was awake once, and then, so gradually, you never saw it happen. It closed. But there is a deeper reason why this keeps happening. Why pamata is the place we always fall back to. The truth is uncomfortable. Impermanence is uncomfortable. The fact that everything you love will change and everyone you hold close will one day be gone, that is not a pleasant thing to look at. So, the mind turns away. It finds something else to be busy with. It numbs itself with distraction, with plans, with noise. And that turning away, that quiet refusal to look at what is real, is the root of all forgetting. Pamata is not a choice you make. It is what happens when you stop choosing. Like water running downhill, the mind naturally flows toward comfort, toward not seeing, toward sleep. Apamata, waking up, is swimming against that current. It takes effort. It takes choosing, again and again, to keep your eyes open when everything in you wants to close them. In the Dhammapada, verse 21, the Buddha said, "Heedfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. The heedful do not die. The heedless are as if already dead. As if already dead." A person deep in pamata, someone whose inner life has gone quiet, who no longer notices the weight of their own choices, is breathing and walking and talking. But the part of them that truly lives, the part that sees and chooses with awareness, has gone to sleep. They are going through the motions of a life without actually being inside it. So, what does wake up look like? It begins with something small. One honest question, asked in real time, in the middle of your ordinary life. What I am about to do right now, does it lead toward more suffering or less? For me and for the people around me. That question is the seed of everything the Buddha meant by presence. You see what is happening, and you care enough to choose well. Sometimes that looks like a deep moment of kindness, but most of the time it is utterly plain. You are tired and irritated, and you are about to snap at someone you love. And you catch yourself. You pause. You let the feeling pass. In that small pause, that tiny gap between the urge and the action, you are more awake than most people manage to be in an entire day. There is an image that has stayed with me for a long time. You drink a cup of hot tea in the morning. You hold it, feel the warmth, take a sip, and when it's done, you set the cup down. You don't grieve the empty cup, but with the things that matter most, with love, with health, with the people closest to you. We hold the empty cup long after the warmth is gone, and we realize, too late, that we never really drank when it was full. Everything we've walked through so far leads to a question that is easy to miss. When you are present, truly present, what are you present with? How do you meet this life exactly as it is, without turning away? and without holding on too tight. To be awake is one thing. To know what you are awake to is another. The Buddha taught that everything you experience, every situation you find yourself in, arrived because certain conditions came together, and it will change when those conditions change. Your difficulty has roots. Your happiness has roots. Neither one appeared out of nowhere, and neither one will stay exactly as it is. In the early teachings, the Buddha pointed especially to how suffering is born from conditions, and how suffering fades when those conditions are no longer fed. This is not the belief that everything is fixed and nothing can be done. And it is not the comfortable phrase, everything happens for a reason, the way people use it to smooth over grief. It is something more honest. Whatever is here because of causes. And because causes are always shifting, whatever is here will also shift. When you see your life this way, something relaxes in you. You lose something you worked hard for, and instead of falling into panic, you take a breath and think, certain things came together to bring me here. Some were in my hands. Some were never in my hands. What can I actually do now? You meet what is happening as it is, without demanding it be something else. That is clarity. And clarity is the first thing presence is made of. But clarity alone is not enough. Because when you see clearly that everything passes, there is a temptation to stop caring. Why get close to anyone? It will just end. Why opens your heart? It will just hurt. Understanding without warmth becomes distance. And distance, no matter how wise it looks from the outside, is just another way of not being here. This is where something else enters. When you see clearly that everyone around you is caught in the same flow of conditions, that they too are struggling, that they too are trying to make sense of a life that keeps shifting under their feet, something in your chest softens. You look at another person differently. You stop judging so quickly. You stop keeping score. You see them, and for a moment, you feel what they feel. And in that moment, you simply cannot bring yourself to add more pain. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha gave this feeling a shape. He taught his followers to grow a boundless heart toward all living beings, without hatred, without ill will. He used an image that has echoed through centuries. Even as a mother would protect her child, her only child, with her own life, so too should one unfold a boundless heart toward all creatures. What this describes is metta, loving kindness. It is the heart that wishes well that cannot bear to cause harm. And when loving kindness meets the suffering of another person, it naturally deepens into compassion. A mother protecting her only child does not love with calculation. She does not weigh the costs. There is simply a heart that will not allow harm. The Buddha was saying, take that quality of care and learn to carry it with you wherever you go. In daily life, this might mean patience when someone is being difficult, or choosing kindness when there is nothing in it for you. It might mean looking at your partner across the dinner table, the one who is telling you the same story they told last week, and choosing to listen anyway, because they need to be heard more than you need to be efficient. Loving kindness is a heart that cannot bring itself to add more pain to a world that already has enough. And when these two things come together, something remarkable happens. You begin to hold life the way you hold that cup of tea from earlier. You feel its warmth. You drink it. And when it is done, you set it down. You love without gripping. You understand without going cold. You stay close to people without needing them to stay the same. You face what comes without needing it to be different. That is what letting go actually looks like. Not pushing anything away, just holding it all a little more gently. This is presence at its fullest. Clear eyes and a soft heart working together. And a person who carries both, even imperfectly, even on some days better than others, is present in the deepest way that word can mean. So here, at the end of all this, the question becomes very personal. Life is short. You did not choose how much of it you would be given, but you do get to choose how you meet it. You don't need to turn your life into something dramatic. Even if you cannot sit in meditation every morning, even if your days are full and messy, you can still begin right where you are. Stop. Look at what is in front of you and choose. If you manage that, even just sometimes, even in a few scattered moments across an ordinary day, those moments are not small. Those are the moments that count.